So we are getting fights. And speaking of fights that we're getting, finally, we are getting the fight for Undisputed at light heavyweight. Yes, I'm talking about Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. It's going down June 1st in Saudi Arabia. No surprise, because that's where it seems like all the fights are going down lately. But June 1st is the date. So in summer. And Bryan, we're finally getting this fight. So how do you feel about it?
We talked about this at some point last year because there were rumors and there were rumors and there were rumors. I've just always kind of favored Dmitry Bivol when this fight goes down because, like, you have boxer versus puncher. It's another case of one of those. But Artur Beterbiev looked better in his last fight than Dmitry Bivol did. So I'm gonna wait and see what the odds are and looking at it from a betting perspective and in terms of a prediction, like who's straight up gonna win. I want to wait a little bit. And I have time because this shit isn't until June 1st. But Artur Beterbiev in his last fight looked really just dominant in a way that I saw some things there where I'm like, I think he can get to Dmitry Bivol, is what I would say. Like, I think the pressure, like, I wonder if Dmitry Bivol could actually keep him off because when we saw him against, what was it, Lyndon Arthur in December
Mm-hmm.
in the Saudi Arabia card, it looked like he was going to stop him a couple different times and then didn't. And at some point, it's like I didn't think the power was bothering Arthur as much as it was just the overall boxing ability, the speed, the range mastery, the jabs, especially. I mean, Jesus Christ, Dmitry Bivol. But like, I think Artur Beterbiev, like, there's a way he can sort of navigate through that. He's maybe the best pressure fighter in boxing, or one of them. There's a reason he has a 100% knockout rate. Like, he's knocked out everybody he's fought, even though he's taken a couple knockdowns. But I don't know. Is Dmitry Bivol gonna knock down Artur Beterbiev? Like, I think you're gonna get pretty juicy odds on that because that's not super likely. But I can't wait to see what the line is because I think this is legitimately a 50-50 fight, of which we've only had one so far this year, and it's only January, so it's not like an indictment on the sport or anything. Natasha Jonas and Michaela Mayer, to me, was a
Whew.
50-50 fight going into it and evidently coming out of it, right? So this one to me is that. Whereas the other two, I have a pretty strong inclination of where I'm leaning. Like, I like Tim Tszyu over Keith Thurman. I like Isaac Cruz over Rolly Romero. But this is 50-50. And then there are some other fights that we may spend a couple minutes on some of the other fights that got announced because there's been so many that we're not going to just have like too much time to get into all of them. But there are some other great fights that I'm looking forward to that feel 50-50 ish. This one is one of those for me. And to me, this is the fight of the year on paper outside of probably Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, which is another fight that's coming up that's in that 50-50 range as well.
Yeah, for me, Artur Beterbiev looked so great in his last fight. And Dmitry Bivol, I've always kind of been leaning towards him because I was like, Artur Beterbiev, when is Father Time going to catch up to him? But from what I saw in his last fight, he's got a whole new arsenal. Like, he just added more to his bag. He looked skilled. We know that he's a pressure fighter, but the way that he was getting to the body, like, he wasn't just a power puncher. He was showing that he got better skill wise, and that's a little bit scary because not only is he throwing with power, now he's got skill. Like, what is going on here? And he's gotten better with age. And to be honest with you, at first I was leaning towards going with Dmitry Bivol, but I think I might take Artur Beterbiev in this fight. The way that he was fighting in his last fight, I think Dmitry Bivol is going to have some problems. I think Beterbiev, because he just looks like the bigger dude, like the way that he's built, the way that he stalks you, the way that he gets to the body, the way that he mixes it up, the way that he changes his levels. It's more than just power. Like, we talk about him being this devastating knockout puncher, 100% rate, which I want to add again. It's more than that from what we saw. And the fact that it's happening June 1st, so Beterbiev is, he's staying busy. He's going to have a training camp. I think Bivol's in for something that he has never seen before. He's never faced this type of power. And I don't even think he's faced this type of pressure fighter because Canelo is a guy that likes to come forward and whatnot, but not like Beterbiev. Right? Remember, Dmitry Bivol was like, "Yo, my hand was all sore, was blocked." And like, yo, you know what Beterbiev's gonna do to your arm, your forearm? Like,
Yeah.
it's this is such a good fight. I don't want to count out Bivol. So here at the Mandatory, we want to know what's your early pick for it. because I want to see in the comments who you're going to be rolling with. So make sure to drop that down. But this is a fight that I'm so excited for. Probably the fight that I'm most excited for this year. Undisputed. You know, anytime everyone's trying to go undisputed, it's like the sexy thing to do in boxing. But this is the fight I'm probably most excited for, other than Usyk and Tyson Fury, because I don't even know how I'm going to bet that one at this point. But this one, I'm going to lead with the Canadian Artur Beterbiev. We claiming him all the way now. But here at the Mandatory, we want to know what you think about these fights. Really quickly, Brian, is there another fight that you're looking forward to that was announced that we're not going to have a deep dive, but is there something that you want to mention really quick before we get out of here?
God, there's so many. There's this. I mean, we'll. I'm sure this one's gonna happen, but it's not like official. I don't think now you're in a way, and Luis Neri is probably is
Yes.
probably is probably the one for me. It's either that or finally, the unification at minimum weight, as Boxford calls it. Yocasta Valle and Sinisa Estrada. That to me is another fight that's like 50-50 ish. And if Sinisa Estrada fights like she did in her last fight that we saw televised on
Ooh, she in
ESPN,
trouble.
she
She
could have
she in
some
trouble.
problems because she will get countered over and over again if that's the case. But to me, that's a 50-50 fight, and I don't know which way I'm leaning yet because I highly respect both fighters. And then, like I mentioned, in a way, and Neri. I mean, if that happens, supposedly, like the report was saying, like, oh, they might do it at the same stadium that Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas
Yeah.
in, 55,000, whatever. Like those are the ones where I'm like, oh, that's oof. It could what seemed like it was going to be. Oh, is this going to be a down year for boxing? But we got to wait to see what fights are getting announced, and now it looks like we have some exciting things on the horizon, even next month, because there are some good fights next month that are coming around.
So for me, I know like kind of the boring fight going under the radar is Lomachenko and George Kambosos Jr. But I'm like the biggest. I love Lomachenko, so I can't wait till he goes and wins against Kambosos, and then we're talking about Loma again. So that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see another vintage performance by Loma. That's what I'm excited to see. And I know I'm kind of disrespecting George Kambosos Jr. here, but there's levels to this, and that's how good Lomachenko is. And after his last two fights, I'm like what trend is Loma going towards? Right, because he's taking these L's. Some people thought that he won against Devin Haney, that he got robbed. He was crying after that fight. He was devastated. So this is a good fight for a guy like Lomachenko, who I still think is one of the best in that weight class. But for me, yes, Nawa in a way and Luis Neri. If that fight is gonna go down, that's gonna be a really good fight. And if Inoue then takes care of Neri, because Neri, listen, he's a dangerous fighter as well, easily like pound for pound. Easily pound for pound number one. Like, I don't even think I'm going to be arguing it at that point, even though I know Bud's that dude. But it's just the fact of what Inoue does. So I think that's the fight I'm definitely most looking forward to. But here at the Mandatory, we want to know what fights you're looking forward to, who you're picking, and Tim Zuki Thurman. What do you think about Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia? Oh, wait, never mind. That's not happening. Rolly Romero and Isaac Pitbull Cruz. That's right. Also, tell us how you feel about Rolly and Ryan not happening, and Beterbiev and Bivol. And of course, if you got one of a nerd fight that here at the Mandatory we love, let us know and follow us at the Mandatory TKO. Also, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. And Brian, final thoughts before we get up and out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we have some really good fights coming up. We have one this weekend that I think it'll be interesting, but I kind of hope that this leads to something else. Is what I would say, which we're going to talk about in our Money Be Green segment, and that'll be out this week as well. So stay tuned for that.